Hello, welcome to the fourth book discussion session on the Handbook of Open Universities around the world. I am Sanjay Mishra, along with my co-editor, Professor Santosh Panda. Welcome you all to today's session, which is focused on Asian Open Universities. Considering that there are several open universities in Asia that are covered in our handbook, we are expecting another similar session sometime soon. Let me now introduce our guest speakers, authors who have contributed to our handbook. First of all, I welcome each one of them for joining on this today's session. Thank you very much for sparing your time for discussing our handbook of open universities around the world. Let me first introduce Professor Som Naidu. Anyone who is in the field of distance education is definitely aware of Som's work over the years. But it is a pleasure to introduce formally for this session Som. Most recently served as the Pro Vice Chancellor, Open and Flexible Learning, and Director of the Center for Flexible Learning at the University of the South Pacific. Currently, he is the Principal Associate of Technology, Education, and Design Associates, a Melbourne-based educational technology consultancy service. Dr. Naidu has spent most of his professional life in the higher education sector in a wide range of jurisdiction in Australia and in the Pacific, in a variety of roles to do with advancing learning and teaching in open and flexible distance online learning and distributed learning environments, and of course, education in general. Dr. Naidu has served as a former president of the Open and Distance Learning Association of Australia and executive editor of its journal Distance Education for over 3 decades. In 2014, in recognition of his extensive contribution in the field of open, distance, and e-learning, both regionally and internationally, the Open University of Sri Lanka awarded him the doctorate of letters honoris causa. And he is also a principal fellow of the Higher Education Academy for his contribution to strategic leadership in scholarship of learning and teaching globally. Welcome, Som, for this session.
Thanks, guys.
It's my pleasure now to introduce Professor Ojat Darojat, who is currently the Deputy Minister of Education for Indonesia. He's a professor of education and teacher training at the University of Terbuka, having more than 30 years of experience in distance teaching and learning. He recently served as the rector of the University of Terbuka, along with several different responsibilities in the university prior to that. He has a PhD in quality assurance of distance teaching and learning from the Simon Fraser University in Canada. Welcome you, sir, for this session. Professor Shironica Karunanayaka is with the Open University of Sri Lanka. She is a former Dean of the Faculty of Education and former head of the Department of Secondary and Tertiary Education there. Professor Shironica has been an academic with Open University of Sri Lanka since 1993. She holds a Doctor of Education from the University of Wollongong in Australia, specializing in information technology in education and training. Her key research of late is more on open educational resources and open educational practices. She served as the honorary advisor of the Commonwealth of Learning during 2019 and 2021. From April 2023, she also serves as the co-chair in teacher education of Commonwealth of Learning. Welcome, Professor Shironica. Dr. Anirban Ghosh is a professor of commerce at the Netaji Subhas Open University, Kolkata in India. Dr. Ghosh is the director of the Center for Internal Quality Assurance and the School of Professional Studies, as well as the School of Vocational Studies at Netaji Subhas Open University. A prolific author of textbooks and research papers, he has also coordinated 3 massive open online courses for the SWAM platform of the Government of India. Dr. Ghosh has received AAOU Staff Exchange Fellowships from Korea National Open University, Shanghai Open University, and of course, University of Terbuka to carry out research in open and distance learning. Welcome, Professor Ghosh. Last but not the least, Dr. V.P.Rupam is with us, who has co-authored the chapter in Indira Gandhi National Open University with Professor Santosh Panda, my co-editor. Dr. Rupam is an additional director at the Student Registration Division of Indira Gandhi National Open University in India. Dr. Rupam joined the university in 1989 and has been actively involved in developing and managing the support services of the university for students' learning and success. Dr. Rupam has played a key role in developing several online solutions for student support-related activities at the university. I welcome you, Dr. Rupam. We have these illustrious contributors to our handbook for today's discussion. With that, I will request Professor Panda to make his brief remarks and request our guests to speak. Of course, I just forgot Professor Panda, our guest from Indonesia, Fauzy Rahman, who has co-authored the University of Terbuka chapter with Professor Ojat today with us. Welcome, Dr. Rahman, for this session. Professor Panda, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjaya. And it was an excellent welcome. I must once again welcome all our friends. So friends, welcome once again. And without wasting much time, let me invite, because in the Asian region, the open university system has been, the growth of the open university system has been significant with policy support from the government, though there are funding issues and there are quality concerns. But as a business model, in comparison to any part of the world, the open university system is doing very well. Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, India are best examples. Even for that matter, Pakistan, Bangladesh Open University, they are doing very well. So also many others. So, but there are concerns, especially quality concerns, student support service concerns, technology concerns, funding concerns, innovation and research concerns. So we will try to address as much as possible. So with this brief remark, let me invite Professor Som Naidu, who has contributed the overview, Asian overview, to our Handbook of Open Universities Around the World, published by Routledge, for his initial remarks. Som, please.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you very much. Greetings, my friends. Thank you very much for the introduction, Sanjay. That was quite extensive. but perhaps necessary. It's a pleasure meeting you all. Some of you, of course, I know very well. A couple of people I haven't met before, so it's great to be talking with you in this forum. Foremost, I want to put on record my congratulations to Sanjay Ayu and Santosh for putting out this book. Those of us who've been in the field will appreciate that this is a landmark publication. That's for sure. This is going to go down in the history as a major publication on the subject of open universities, and that's there forever. I mean, other books will come and go, but you have put a stake on the ground, and it is a very significant contribution to the literature in the field. And I'm sure if I reflect back on my PhD studies in the 80s and the 90s, I would have cherished a publication like this on my shelves or on the shelves of the libraries that I consulted. With that said, I'm sure that the graduate students of today are going to find this book useful, very useful, and the practitioners will find it equally useful. So my congratulations to the two of you and the contributors who are here today and who are not here today for their contributions to this publication. Now, thank you for the invitation, Sanjay and Santosh, for writing a short chapter on the Asian region, which I did, and I'm hoping that you have had a chance to have a look at it. But I'll go over some of the things that I tried to capture in it. If you haven't seen it, the title of my little chapter was called "Open is Open as It Gets." Because in thinking about open universities, even though I agree completely with you, Santosh, that the open universities all around the world and in Asia are doing very well, particularly in Asia are doing very well because it's making a significant contribution to education in those regions where there is the greatest need. And the inability of traditional and conventional institutions for meeting that need. There is much to be desired in the way open universities are functioning, at least in the ones that I looked at more closely in the region. Which is why I titled the chapter "Open is Open as It Gets," because as you yourself said in your concluding chapter, which I was looking at a while ago, it's not a dichotomous scale. Open and closed are things that you would is best seen on a continuum, and so open universities sit or somewhere on that continuum, depending on which one you're looking at, and for good reason. And I think it would be useful to have a look at each one in its own context. Traditionally, as we have known, open universities came about and goes back to the ones in Europe and elsewhere as a response to a socio-economic and political agenda, because governments were seeing that traditional systems were unable to cope with the demand for the population base, especially in countries like South Asia and Asia. So we accept that fact that the open universities were meeting and are meeting a socio-economic and political agenda. But the problem, as we all appreciate, was that the template for the development of open universities was somewhat vague. I mean, you guys have cited Lord Crowther and you as a sort of baseline and baseline which provided the template, which offered the template for the development of open universities, open to people, places, open to methods, and open to ideas. I mean, let me just take each one of those very, very quickly, because if that is the benchmark, if that is the template, then it would be appropriate to sort of look at open universities along those lines. Okay, you might argue that as far as places are concerned, open universities are doing very well. If you look at the study center network in countries like South Asia and Open University of China and in Africa and other places, I think even in the case of the UKOU, the open universities are doing very well in terms of their distributed nature, which is hence the word distributed learning comes from. So I think open universities on my scale of 1 to 10 are doing 9 or 10 in terms of places. I think they're definitely meeting that agenda. As well as people, I think open universities have been very good and very effective and very efficient in terms of allowing all types of people without qualification, with qualifications, young and old, to partake in their courses. So I think on that, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, they're doing very well, 9 or 10. Now, I have problems with the other two, methods and ideas. In other places, I have referred to methods in terms of the adoption of learning and teaching strategies, all right? And the learning and teaching strategies, generally, the open universities have not been doing very well. Surely the course team approach has been very widely accepted and written about and practiced at IGNU and UKOU and other places. So that's an innovation and that's a contribution and that's working very well. But if you look harder, you'll find that the methods of teaching and learning are still pretty didactic and they've been adopted from conventional models and materials have been written very much in a lecture format. I do accept that there are exceptions and there are very good examples of interactive learning materials, but a lot of learning materials have been following the traditional model of content presentation and assessment. So I don't think I would put the open universities that I'm talking about in this case too high on that scale. I'll probably put them somewhere in the middle on a 5 to 6, and much work to be. The most much work to be done. The criteria that I have most trouble with is the one that Lord Crowther calls ideas, which I have in other places called this idea of open scholarship. Now, there's nothing new about ideas. You know, ideas are part and parcel of university systems everywhere. So traditional universities have been open to ideas. That's what universities are, as Sanjay pointed out. Then open universities are no different. But what is so different about the ideas that the open universities should be promoting as opposed to traditional conventional universities? So I'm trying to extrapolate what Lord Crowther might have been saying or might not have been saying, but what I think of open as to ideas conjures the ideas of open scholarship, which includes the adoption of open educational resources, the practice and adoption of a different licensing system and ownership of intellectual property, and all those sorts of things. And I think the universities are getting up to speed on that, but not very higher up on the agenda, because I think the open universities still are very slow at the adoption of open educational resources foremost, and of course the adoption of a more accessible approach to things like assessment and feedback and interaction amongst learners, between teachers and learners. So I would probably put that criteria, as far as the institutions that we're looking at, somewhat low on the scale. I'm not critical, and I realize the problems in relation to the practice and the adoption of open scholarship, open educational resources, which I'm sure Shironica will talk more about. There are challenges, and only now and only recently we are seeing the availability of robust open educational resources. So we have a lot of work to be done, and I'm sure we've started looking at that. But I would like to suggest that I think in relation to ideas and the idea of openness and open scholarship, the open universities have a lot more work to do, and those are challenges that we must confront. So on the whole, I agree with Santosh's overall remark that open university is doing very well, obviously meeting the socioeconomic and political need that the institutions were set out to achieve. but I think one of the biggest failures of open universities is that because of the way these institutions were put together in terms of staffing and staff allocation, who would have mostly come from traditional conventional system, that their ability to move from a closed system to an open system have been great in certain areas, but still lacking in certain areas. So I would probably leave it there, Santosh, for time being, and maybe we'll come back to some of the remarks that I might have made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Som Naidu, for an excellent initial remark, but very critically outlined our system of open universities, not the global system. This is also equally applicable to the global systems of distance education, more particularly open universities, which are single mode, and with your very critical note on methods and ideas, and especially assessment. When we take it very, very seriously. In fact, this could be benchmarks to read through the chapters. Of course, we provided the scale of 1 to 10 of openness, but we said that, I could perceive my system to be very well. I put 8 out of 10. It doesn't matter, actually. So one has to introspect more. When we said that, we are proposing a business model which could be sustainable. Are open universities sustainable for the future? But when we said that, we also equally highlighted that they should be of equivalent or parity of esteem as compared to some of the finest face-to-face campus-based universities in our part of the world, so also globally. And especially in teaching and learning, as you rightly said, you said methods. We have become very didactic, open scholarship. These are and especially assessment. You rightly said towards the end, the assessment, which is very, very problematic, which is very traditional. And if assessment related to open education practices. So are open universities sustainable for the future? Professor Darojat, you are now in the helm of affairs in Indonesia in education and quality. And of course, we know Professor Tian and other colleagues who have led the UT very effectively, successfully, and you have been in the helm of affairs over there. How do you look at Indonesia more particularly, generally, and UT more particularly, vis-a-vis the dual mode universities, how distance education could be viable, and especially open university could be viable for the future, keeping in view that they would serve equally well as some of the finest campus universities are doing. So, Professor Darojat, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Saston Panda. Good afternoon, everyone. And also special thanks to Mr. Sanjay Mishra. Thank you for inviting me to be involved in this virtual Zoom meeting discussing very specific issues regarding open universities. Yeah. In this session, I will be focused on the Asia contribution in the development of distance higher education, the dynamic of distance education that align with the handbook of open universities around the world. And I will try to share my point of view, the significance of the handbook, specifically regarding global perspective, the open universities, including the development, governance, funding issues, and also operational model of distance education globally and regionally in Asia, and very specific in my university. And I think it seems very important to discuss currently the integration of technology and the significance is about quality assurance. And I will try to provide a general picture in this 5 minutes. As you know that when we talk about open universities, this is based on the information in Wiki In Asia, there are many open universities. Currently, there are about 48 universities I know, and mostly most of them is big population number in terms of students. Something like OUC, currently more than 5 million. Indira Gandhi National Open University is a big population, a big number of students. In my country now, my student at UT in more than 750,000 students. So this is very important. How our distance education, open universities provide access for people, and it is also very fortunate in the Asia context. Now we have something like AOU, ASEAN Association of Open Universities. It is becoming a strategic for us for sharing our experience, our best practice, as well as we share joy and sorrow in running the universities. And every year we get involved in AOU annual conference. And just this week, all AOU members, open university leaders in Asia coming to OUC in China for AOU annual conference 2025. Today, I would like try to provide a picture about some key development of open universities in Asia, especially in Southeast Asia. And let me begin with the integration of technology. This is very strategic issues in my country, especially how the use of AI, for example. This is becoming more strategic now for helping student services in conducting teaching learning process, examination, evaluation, and supporting in grading. The integration technology in open university in Asia, especially in my country, there are some very specific issues about what assessment. There are many students in our country using AI for helping for support them to in assignments. So we have to deal with this very challenging issues, and also we try to develop the use of AI for teaching learning process, the use of chatbot in our online tutorial service for students, and also for correcting assignments, SI assignments. There are also challenges in using technologies for running university. There are many internal management how we use internal management to utilize our data. It seems that in ASEAN open universities, promoting equal access for higher education is one of the strategic issues in developing countries. Like in my country, in Indonesia, that has been acknowledged as archipelago country, Indonesia. We are having 17,000 islands. There are many students, UT students living in remote islands and 17,000 islands. So it is very important for us to provide higher education services for them. And that's why open universities like UT, it is very important to support the development of human resources in my country. This not only in my country, but also in Southeast Asian regions. That's why our president now we have what we call it digital transformation in instructional process, starting from very kindergarten until to universities. We provide funding for basic school, secondary, to use something like smart board including in remote island. Not only about smart board, but also we try to develop BTS and to get access to something like a Starlink and also internet access. And also to provide access for people living in remote island with economic reasons, our university apply for a very affordable tuition fee for our students. We applied what tuition fee must be affordable in order to support social economic impact. And for the time being, especially after COVID-19 2020, there are many new entrants coming offering online delivery system in my country. So online learning services not only offered by distant teaching university, but also offered by conventional one. New players, both national and international, coming to my country, offering cyber learning system, and online education market becoming more competitive for the time being. And the integration of technology and the quality assurance have regarded as two strategic issues. Integrating technology and providing online services are very challenging in developing country because some reason, something like digital divide and literacy technology level of our student. There are many our student in my country in terms of literacy technology level is still low. So that's why when they join my university, we have to provide services for them how to increase their literacy level in technology. And also about access point, there are many our student could not able to use online learning services because of access point very difficult in remote island, and this has been regarded as very specific issue in my country, internet access. For example, Indonesia, the Ministry of Communication and Digital now provide budget for providing BTS infrastructure in order to support digital transformation program in education. There are many issues, other issues dealing with offering MOOCs in my university, Open University, and also some provider. MOOCs becoming very important issue in my country now. They have significantly contributed to MOOCs development and distribution to boost access to higher education and lifelong learning, as well as also for reskilling, upskilling for manpower. There are also other issues regarding international reach. Many of open universities in Asia expanding their reach internationally and collaborating with global player. As you know that there are, for example, my university offering a program for people in overseas. So my student now cut out in 52 countries. They are Indonesian but living in overseas. And another issue this also about especially about my university UT. UT with its transformation into a legal entity state university, and now this UT is different status, has been regarded as legal entity state university, or we call it PTNBH. This very autonomous, not just like a public university. Now we are very experienced, very positive in terms of funding, because we know we have very much our students enrollment in my university, more than 750,000 students, and this for this semester. UT is advancing and quality assurance efforts through recognition and accreditation from the government, national, what we call it BAN-PT, accreditation board in the name of government, and also holding some accreditation from international bodies, for example, from ICDE, FIBA, and also from OU. Now, OT focus on cutting-edge technological advancement, including AI-driven learning, MOOCs, and global partnership, including OU5, AOU, ICD, and so. Alhamdulillah, until now, we are very advanced in my country, becoming a benchmark for offering online services for conventional universities. That's, I think, the general picture that I given to you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Darojat. It has been very interesting since you are now in the government. So your every word makes sense and is important for all of us. More particularly, you talked about technology, digitalization, and educational transformation. And we'll come back to this. Maybe I'll relate this to Professor Shironica. But before that, let me invite Dr. Rahman for a minute. If you have anything to add to this, just for a minute, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. If you have anything to add to this, that would be very interesting. Dr. Rahman.
Thank you, Dr. Santos Panda and Prof. Ojat. Yeah, just adding what Prof. Ojat already described and explained. One of the most interesting one that highlighted in the book or in the handbook is that about the integration of technology, and the hottest one is that about the integration of artificial intelligence, as already mentioned by Prof. Ojat previously. During Asian Association of Open Universities annual conference in Beijing, it was also discussed, and then the portrayal of how open universities in Asia embracing AI, it is very, very dynamic, but we got a very insightful points from OUs in Asia region. But one thing that is also important is about the ethical guidance or guidelines for students and universities in embracing AI. I do believe that the government, under Prof. Ojat's governance in the ministry, already released the ethical guidelines for universities in Indonesia to embrace AI. And currently at Universitas Terbuka, we are finalizing the ethical guidelines for our students and also faculty members in how embracing AI in teaching learning process. That's all from me. Thank you very much, Prof. Ojat and Dr. Santos Panda and Dr. Sanjay Nisa. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahman, for this interesting remark on UT's transformation vis-a-vis AI, because that is a major issue. As a concluding remark, we'll come back to this issue. I'm just highlighting, signposting for Som to come back to this issue of AI and towards the end of this program. But if I link this to digitalization, to quality, to open scholarship, Professor Shironica has been in the helm of affairs. I know Professor Chandra Gunawardena. They all significantly contributed to establish the foundation. Professor Kumarasamy, women leading the transformation, and now we have an excellent women prime minister or president, as you call, in Sri Lanka, very dynamic, who recently visited India for an excellent relationship between these two countries. But she was educated, as you know, in one of the finest colleges, very high regard colleges in India. Sri Lanka's education standard is very high generally, and the Open University therefore has to keep balance with that education quality. So, Professor Shironica, the fundamental question vis-a-vis OUSL, the fundamental question is that quality, technology, and open scholarship vis-a-vis open education practice. Now the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Panda. Good day, everyone. I'm very happy to get this opportunity, of course. So let me, first of all, let me thank Dr. Sanjay Mishra and Professor Santos Panda for giving me an opportunity to contribute to your impressive publication, Handbook of Open Universities Around the World, and also for inviting me for this discussion today. Well, in my view, this handbook is a very timely publication, which is a comprehensive collection about open universities worldwide, gathering regional overviews and institutional case studies. The significance is it blends historical perspectives with critical insights into strengths, challenges, and good practices in relation to open and distance learning practices in open universities across the region. So indeed, it's a very useful resource for a wide range of audience, including ODL practitioners, educators, students, administrators, trainers, policymakers, researchers, and I'm very pleased to be able to contribute to it. So moving on to the chapter I authored, where I presented the Open University of Sri Lanka, OUSL, which is the first and the only open university in Sri Lanka, established in 1980 as a national university under the purview of the University Grants Commission, having the same recognition as any other conventional university, and a pioneer of open and distance learning in Sri Lanka to provide access to flexible, affordable, and quality education to diverse learners dispersed all over the country and promoting lifelong learning. My chapter highlights the historical evolution of OUSL over 4 decades, its expansion, diversification, flexibility, inclusivity, through its strategy of providing ladders of opportunities for learning. As a key player in widening access to higher education in Sri Lanka to a wide variety of learners, those non-conventional learners, I would say, mainly working adults, and maybe those who did not get high educational opportunities due to various reasons, and geographically dispersed learners, and so on. This chapter also focuses on the transformational changes that have occurred pedagogically and technologically over the years at OUSL. As Professor Panda mentioned, where technology-enabled learning and innovative pedagogical approaches, learner support mechanisms, continuous professional development of staff, research, and quality assurance mechanisms, while ensuring openness in its operations. Well, the reflective analysis was done on the basis of 10 criteria you have provided on openness. That's according to my reflections, which indicate that overall OUSL can claim a very satisfactory level in terms of accessibility, flexibility, inclusivity, and equity amid various challenges, of course, while indicating some areas for further improvement to become more and more open. So if I talk about technological integration, we actually, as the Open University of Sri Lanka established in the 1980s, from the very beginning, we realized the importance of integrating technology to cater to the needs of our distant learners. So from the very beginning, we had this division called Educational Technology Division, which is now called Center for Educational Technology and Media. And currently, I'm the acting director of that center, which is unique to the Open University, where it supports all faculties to, develop technology integrated lesson materials and teaching learning approaches and integrating innovative pedagogies and so on. So, also we started online education as early as 2003 with the support from SEMCA. Dr. Sanjay Mishra and Dr. Som Naidu were the resource persons who introduced online learning to us in 2003. So since then, we have been gradually improving or developing our online system. Well, not that, after COVID, not that sort of, online education was, was misinterpreted in different ways, but this is real online teaching and learning in the learning management system. We have been continuously improving that with the integration of open educational resources, OER-based e-learning projects we have conducted, and promoting open educational practices. Actually, the Open University was the first in Sri Lanka to develop an OER policy. We have been updating it, and we do have an institutional OER repository, and always all the leaders, all the vice chancellors, the leadership has been supporting and promoting these open practices to, maintain the open practices and improve, continuously improve in several aspects. So I believe that it's essential to constantly reflect, review, refine, and reimagine novel strategies, being on par with the societal needs, as well as the rapidly evolving global trends, the technological trends, for example, but not at the expense of ODL philosophy. Good practices need to be sustained, and innovative strategies for areas to be improved should be explored and integrated. That's what we believe, while prevailing the unique identity of the open universities. Sometimes it's not properly understood or maybe properly recognized among certain people. So we have that responsibility to maintain that openness. So personally, I believe that I'm a graduate of Open University as well at its inception. So, and having served there as an academic for over 3 decades, so it's very valuable for me to reflect on its growth and development, through this chapter, and to strive towards our vision to attain excellence in life-changing education by providing equitable learning opportunities, and to achieve its mission to provide lifelong learning opportunities through open, distance, and flexible education with a commitment to excellence in teaching and research. So my idea is we need, as this community of open educators, to create a shared vision and commitment to advance open and distance learning within the academic community, and taking concerted measures to make policymakers and stakeholders aware of the open universities and recognition of its contribution to the social and economic development, which is necessary for the long-term sustainability. So I believe in my country as well, a lot of things, novel things are happening in the university itself. And in Sri Lanka, the digital transformation task force has been appointed, and a lot of things happening. As you mentioned, our Prime Minister is also the Minister of Education. And I don't know whether you know that she has been an academic at the Open University of Sri Lanka. Right, so she is very supportive of these innovative approaches, and as I mentioned, all our leaders have been supporting, and we all can work together to achieve this mission of open universities. I think I'll stop there for now, and maybe later on we have the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Shironica, for an excellent articulation on Open University of Sri Lanka vis-a-vis Sri Lankan education system per se and digitalization. You see, we have some of the best practices to learn from each other. OUSL, Universitas Terbuka, and my part of the world. we have to learn from each other. With this, let me come back to Dr. Rupam. Dr. Rupam has been in the academic administration, as they say. He is an academic, looking after all the academic aspects. Open University, Indira Gandhi National Open University has done very well in terms of number, in terms of international expansion, in terms of contributing to national development, and hardly 10 to 12% of its operating expenditure is now contributed by the government. It is almost a self-sufficient organization today. With this, there are limitations. Dr. Upam, what exactly you visualize as the problematic areas, and how do you suggest that this could be addressed vis-a-vis our part of the world, that is South Asia generally, and what would be the sustainability of the Open University, more particularly Dr. Upam?
Thank you, Professor Panda, and very good morning to all the learned panelists. Professor Panda, you're wearing two hats. One is the editor of this handbook, and one is the principal author of the chapter on Indira Gandhi National Open University. I'll take very little time. Responding to your question, first of all, I would like to go back a little and say that in a little more than 5 decades, we can say with confidence that open universities across the world have done well in terms of expanding opportunities for higher education, expanding access, in terms of serving the underserved, in terms of creating opportunities for lifelong learning. On all these axes, open universities have generally done well. But now, with changing times, with changing technology environment, with new challenges coming in, the question that we need to collectively ask ourselves is what is the way forward, how we can keep ourselves afloat and relevant and sustainable. Well, I would say that as far as the question of access is concerned, open universities continue to remain relevant, especially in geographies where there are supply side constraints. They will remain relevant. But there are challenges. One very important challenge that is of retention and success rate. I think this is a problem globally with the open universities. We need to evolve strategies for improving the success rate of our learners, retaining them. And for that, we need to reimagine this support system that we have created. We are right now working on this model of regional centers and study centers. And we've talked about the networked, intelligent, flexible learning approach. As far as IGNOU is concerned, the chapter we have shared in this book, we have talked about, of course, the evolutionary part of the IGNOU and how it has taken to the changing technology environment, how it has aligned itself with the national priorities, what it has done to break new grounds in terms of reaching out to new target populations, and what are the challenges. So this is briefly what we have covered in our chapter. But I would say, I'm an optimist, I would say that open universities will continue to remain relevant even in times where online learning is going beyond the domain of open universities. Now all the universities are taking to online learning, but they will remain important instruments as far as increasing access, reaching out to the underserved is concerned, and all this at affordable levels. That's all right now. Thank you. I'll come back if needed.
Thank you, Dr. Rupam, for this very brief but excellent remark. You read our message, so therefore you became conscious of the time. But as you rightly said, we both are responsible for contributing that chapter, and we have articulated as critically as possible for all of us to reflect. So finally, let me for a very brief remark, Professor Anirban Ghosh for the regional, as we call, state open university, but a very important open university contributing significantly Netaji Subhas Open University. Professor Anirban.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra and Professor Panda for the kind introduction. At the very outset, I wish to congratulate both the editors for their commendable efforts in bringing out these timely and scholarly publications. All the discussions has already mentioned that the volume is indeed a comprehensive one, comprising 57 chapters authored by eminent experts in the field of open and distance learning from across the globe. And out of these 57 chapters, 47 are based on the institutions offering open and distance learning programs. And I can say that definitely the book will serve as a valuable source of reference for researchers, policymakers, and regulatory authorities, offering insights into the functioning of open universities, like their contributions, innovative practices, and contextual adaptations across different countries. The operational model of these open universities may vary, but the basic principles of open and distance learning, that is accessibility, affordability, and flexibility, remain the same irrespective of their country or location. The readers of this volume will gain a comprehensive understanding of how the open universities across the world have adopted the technology to enhance the accessibility and flexibility in ODL programs, especially after the COVID pandemic. We are utilizing the technology in a maximum possible way to reach our students who are located at different corners of the state. Now, what is the USP of the book? I must say that its uniqueness lies in the thoughtful design and systematic presentation of the chapters. And each chapter includes diverse aspects of open universities, ranging from their historical evolution, learner support mechanism, instructional system, and quality assurance framework to the dimension of flexible embedded in the their operations. And very interesting part of each chapter is the openness analysis and the scoring for each parameters as identified by Dr. Mishra. As the volume also enables the researchers to undertake a comparative analysis of open university system across different continents of Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Americas, highlighting their operational models, scale, and distinctive approaches. And in respect of our contribution, my colleague Dr. Papi Upadhyay and I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the editors for giving us this opportunity to contribute a chapter titled Netaji Subhas Open University, as already mentioned by the editors, to this esteemed publication. And you know, I have been associated with the ODL system for over 2 decades. So I have closely witnessed the evolution and growth of the ODL system in India. And in India, the University Grants Commission is the regulatory authority of higher education. And since 2017, the UGC has introduced several reforms, including accreditation process aimed at ensuring quality benchmark of the ODL programs. Obviously, these initiatives have significantly transformed the public perception of open and distance learning, leading to a greater acceptance and recognition of the ODL degrees in our country. The open universities in India are not only contributing to increase the gross enrollment ratio, but are also committed to ensuring quality education in alignment with the vision of the National Education Policy 2020. And we have made an attempt to capture all these developments and perspective in our chapter. Thank you, the editors, for giving us this opportunity. So over to Professor Panda.
Thank you, Professor Anirban. Yes, thank you very much for maintaining time, but also to very significantly highlight that we have now a national education policy in place, and therefore the higher education regulator, University Grants Commission, is transforming through its own regulations, guidelines, and so on and so forth. Thank you once again. And we have very less time, friends, so therefore I will request 2 minutes for Som, if he's there, to make a final remark on AI, artificial intelligence, charts. Som, if you are there.
Sure, I'm here, Santosh. I'm not sure I'm particularly qualified to comment on this, but I will make this comment. I think that any one of us, or all of us who have been involved with the technology, will be aware that AI is a different kind of technology. AI is going to change the landscape significantly, and I think we recognize that, and we should recognize that. If there is any kind of an organization that is going to benefit from AI, it's the open universities for exactly the kind of problems that we have identified here. For example, in the management and the administration of university systems. Let us not be too worried about students' use of Gen AI for assessment, and those are minor problems that can be dealt with educationally. But I think the potential of AI really lies in it being utilized for the management of student support systems, student registration systems, retention and success. I mean, and AI is here, man. It's not new. It has been around. Anybody who has been using a smartphone has been using an AI. He has been using AI. So I think, simply put, we've got to put it to bed and say AI is here. It's going to get better. It's going to get better very fast and very quickly. The challenge is how we are going to use it to optimize our processes. Nothing needs to change in our fundamental principles in relation to what open universities are. But how can we use AI that is available today and that will be available very soon? If you follow what OpenAI and other organizations are doing, they are putting billions and billions of dollars in data centers and knowledge management throughout the world. So they're moving at a pace much faster than we can even fathom. And I think it is up to us to utilize AI for optimizing our own processes. And I think that's the beauty of it all.
Thank you, Som, for this excellent remark. We need AI, but as you rightly said, we need to reflect further that how best ethically we can. With this, let me finally hand over to Dr. Sanjaya to give the final remarks and maybe close this podcast. Dr. Sanjaya, please.
Thank you, Professor Panda. It has really been excellent to listen to all our guest authors. Time just flew. We were not able to know how we have spent over 1 hour so far. Such excellent ideas, and it has come out like something additional other than what has been covered already in the handbook. So that's the important part. To summarize briefly what I gathered for the benefit of our audience, and of course would encourage everyone to grab a copy of the book through their library if it is not possible individually to get a copy of the book. But from our expert authors today, 2 things came out quite openly that the open universities are probably doing already well, is in the Asian context at least, is that the access issue is being addressed quite well. They are reaching the unreached, democratizing education. The educational quality issues are being addressed adequately through different approaches, both at a regulatory level and at institutional level. Technology has been the pillar of these open universities. Most of our speakers today highlighted about technology. Open University of Sri Lanka, IGNOU, University of Terbuka. Key thing is we also alluded to the AI things. What is emerging is that AI as both an opportunity and a challenge for open universities to implement effectively, ethically, within the institutional context, following the challenges associated with the copyright issues involved. The fourth point I would emphasize that came out today, particularly due to emphasis of Professor Panda's questioning about sustainability of open universities, which is very important. How the business model of open universities are working on to make it more significant contribution in the future, or what will be the model that will help. There is definitely something, as Som talked about, the AI integration and sustainability will have something to do with in future. And especially because what Som said is the technology of AI will help OUs probably to address the most challenging issues they have been facing always. So therefore, the business model and sustainability probably will have something to do with the appropriate integration of technologies. Last but not the least, I think it's important, which Som identified initially in the beginning, is about this scholarly contribution of open universities, including innovation. I think this is something that we all need to reflect as a community of open education practitioners or people working in the open university systems around the world, to think about how much we are contributing to the scholarliness. That also includes open educational resources, or open access to scientific information as well. And of course, this is something that we as a community of practitioners, we all have to reflect. There is something that I think, what I personally believe is that this is a continuum. The whole openness practice is a continuum. And in the first book discussion that we had, just to connect something that Sir John Daniel told, that the 10 indicators of openness that we have tried to elaborate in all the chapters are good, but practically universities have to take pragmatic decisions for operations. And therefore, it's always an institutional trade-off to do X or Y in context. So when we were also looking into the whole openness context, we were not prescriptive enough, though we provided a framework for our authors to reflect. And as Professor Panda tell that it's about reflection, how we are all reflecting together in our own context, in our own institutional context. So the whole discussion has given a lot of thinking for me personally, and I've tried to summarize some of these ideas for our audience. With that, Professor Panda, let me thank each of one of us, our guest today. Personally, we are indebted to you for your presence, not only for contributing to our book on a very timely manner, but sparing your time today with us. Particularly, I would also like to request our audience, if you have watched this video so far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it widely amongst anyone who is interested in promotion of open education and development of open universities around the world. Thank you for watching the program, and thank you, Professor Panda, for excellent facilitation. Thanks to each one of you, esteemed contributors to our book. It has been a pleasure that Professor Darojat is now a deputy minister. Congratulations are in order from all of us. Thank you, Professor Som, Professor Shironica, Professor Ghosh, Professor Rupam, and of course, Dr. Fauzy Rahman. Thank you, each one of you, for joining us today. Thank you.